The hospital hallway smelled of disinfectant, cold metal, and fear. Ariana Hale sat on the plastic chair outside room 407, her fingers gripping the edge of a styrofoam cup so tightly it crumpled under her touch. The coffee inside had gone cold an hour ago, but she didn't notice. Her mind was too loud, her breath too shallow. Her father lay behind the glass partition, pale, fragile, his heart monitor beeping in uneven, worrying rhythms. 2 hours earlier, he had collapsed in their tiny living room, clutching his chest with one hand and clutching a stack of papers with the other. Papers filled with numbers. Numbers filled with doom. $18 million. Debt. Impossible, suffocating, fatal debt. She had screamed for an ambulance, cried through the ride, begged him to stay awake. But the moment she saw the signature stamped at the bottom of the debt notice, her heart froze. Voss International Holdings, Claims and Recovery Division. A hurricane of dread ripped through her. Him. The man her father had once called a blessing. The man who turned out to be a nightmare wrapped in a tailored suit. Damien Voss. Billionaire. CEO. Predator, according to the whispers in the business world. And now, her father's owner. Ariana blinked back tears and forced herself to breathe. The fluorescent lights above hummed, mocking her. How did it come to this? How did we fall so far? Her father had been a decent businessman once, running a mid-sized logistics company, but one risky investment with the wrong partners had dragged him into the jaws of men who smelled blood, and Damien Voss was their king. Ariana wiped her face and stood, walking to the glass. She placed her hand gently against it. "Dad, why didn't you tell me?" she whispered. He stirred slightly, turning his head toward her, eyes tired and filled with shame. "I never wanted you dragged into this." His voice cracked, barely audible. "I thought I could fix it. I thought... It's okay. We'll figure something out. She froze, because the hallway suddenly fell silent, as if the air itself was holding its breath. And then, the sharp click of expensive shoes echoed through the corridor. Ariana's pulse stopped for a second. The nurses straightened. The security guard at the end of the hallway stepped aside like someone had ordered him to. A dark presence moved into the space. Tall, sharp suit, tie black as midnight, shoulders broad, jaw angular, eyes like carved steel, cold, calculating, unforgiving. Damien Voss, the man who owned half the city and apparently owned her father's life. Ariana blinked back tears and forced herself to breathe. The fluorescent lights above hummed, mocking her.
"What are you doing here?" Ariana whispered. "It's my debt," he said simply. "I like to keep track of my assets." Her breath hitched. "My father is not your asset." "Oh?" His eyebrow lifted slightly. "Then what do you call someone who owes $18 million and has no means of repayment?" The words hit her like a physical slap. She stepped back, spine stiffening. He just had a heart attack. Have some humanity. For a second, a single flicker, something flashed in his eyes. Guilt? Regret? Recognition? She couldn't tell. It was gone too fast. Damien turned his attention to the chart at the end of the bed. He skimmed it, then nodded once, as if confirming something. "His condition won't improve with stress, so let's relieve it." She blinked. What do you mean?" He turned toward her completely, and the world felt too small. "You have two options," Damien said, voice lowering just slightly, enough to make her chest tighten. "Option 1, pay the debt." Ariana's mouth opened, then closed. Pay? She barely had enough in her account to cover groceries this month. Their house was mortgaged. Their company was gone. $18 million. he continued, stepping closer, plus interest, plus penalties for defaulting. She stumbled back until she hit the wall. And option 2? She whispered. Damien watched her for a long moment, too long. His gaze wasn't predatory, but it wasn't gentle either. It was something else, something she didn't understand. Option 2, he said slowly, is you become my wife. The world cracked around her. What? She choked out. His expression didn't change. Legally, publicly, permanently, at least for a year. Ariana's heart pounded so hard she thought she might faint. You're insane, she whispered. Some would say ambitious, he replied. Marriage? To someone you barely know? His jaw tightened. I know enough. I know your father gambled with men who now want to destroy him, and me. I know marrying you neutralizes their leverage, and I know it saves his life. Her knees weakened. Her voice shook. Why me? His eyes darkened. For the first time, the perfect mask he wore slipped, just barely, just enough for her to see something that looked like desire? No, need? Something deeper, more dangerous. You're not stupid, Damien said softly. You know why. She swallowed, hard. You can't force me. I'm not. He stepped closer. His cologne, expensive, dark, addictive, drifted over her. You don't even like me, she whispered. I don't need to like my wife. I need her to serve a purpose. A sharp ache struck her chest. So this is about business to you? Damien paused. And then, very softly, he said something that made her shiver head to toe. If this were only business, I would have let your father die. Her breath caught, because that wasn't cruelty. It was honesty. Cold, brutal honesty. But also something else. Her eyes met his. Then why are you here? He held her gaze for a long, silent, unbearable moment. And then, because this isn't just business. Her stomach dropped. His voice changed, lower, almost rough. Your father's heart attack was not caused by stress alone. Someone sent men to pressure him. Men who are now trying to pressure me. Ariana stiffened. What does that have to do with me? You, he said, stepping close enough that she felt the warmth of his breath. You are the only piece they don't expect me to protect. Her pulse thundered. Marry me, Damien continued, and no one touches you. No one touches your father, ever again. Her voice cracked. Why would they touch me? He hesitated, and in that hesitation, she saw something she never expected. Concern, fear, possession. They attacked you once, in the parking garage outside your college. You brushed it off as a robbery attempt. Ariana froze. How do you know about that? I have people watch the things I value, he said quietly. Value. Not own, not use. Value. Ariana's head spun. She remembered that night, the two men, the dark corridor, the rush of danger, how she escaped by pure luck. Now she knew it wasn't luck, it was a message. She felt a wave of dread wash over her. So, Damien said, his voice softer now, almost gentle, you can pay the debt, which you can't, or you can accept my protection. Her throat tightened. Protection through marriage? Yes, that's insane. Maybe. His eyes locked onto hers, but it will save your father, and it will save you. Silence fell between them. Her father, unconscious, her life falling apart, this powerful, terrifying man standing in front of her, offering salvation at the cost of her freedom. Finally, she whispered, You don't even know me. Damien stepped closer, inches away, his voice low and dangerous and devastatingly soft. Oh, Ariana, I know exactly who you are. Her breath shook, and that, he whispered, is why this isn't just business. Before she could respond, her father groaned in the bed. Ariana ran to his side. Damien followed slowly, stopping behind her. Her father's eyes fluttered open. He looked at Ariana, then saw Damien behind her, and panic filled his face. No, he rasped. Ariana, don't.
please." Ariana grabbed his hand. "Dad, stop. You're hurting yourself." He shook his head weakly. "Don't make her. Don't force. She's just a child." Damien's jaw tightened. "She's 22. She's not a child." Her father's eyes filled with tears. "Ariana, don't say yes. Don't sacrifice your life." She squeezed his hand hard. "Dad, please, you need to rest." His breathing became shallow again, the monitor beeping faster. A nurse rushed in. "Please step back," she said urgently. Ariana let go reluctantly as they checked his vitals. Damien watched silently, expression unreadable again, but something in the tension of his shoulders told her he cared more than he wanted to show. When the nurse finished and left, Damien finally spoke. "You should decide soon. Time is not on your side." Ariana turned to him. Her eyes were red, her heart broken, her life shattered. And yet, somewhere deep inside, something else stirred. Fear, yes, but also a strange, dangerous pull toward the man standing before her. Her voice barely came out. "What happens if I say yes?" Damien's gaze darkened, then softened, then darkened again. "If you say yes, I wipe the debt, I protect your father, I protect you. And if I say no," he leaned in close enough for his lips to brush her ear, "then you lose everything." Ariana's breath stopped. His voice dropped even lower. "Choose wisely." And then he walked away, slow, deliberate, powerful, leaving her standing in the cold hallway, shaking, shattered, and drowning in a choice she never wanted. But as she watched his back retreat, she realized something terrifying. Her life had already changed. Her fate was already tied to his, and deep down, God help her, a part of her already knew she was going to say yes.
Ares didn't believe in fate. He believed in numbers, discipline, and walls. Walls around his empire, and walls around his heart. But when he saw Rion standing in the lobby of his company that morning, small, tired, confused, clutching a cheap file of documents, something inside him shifted, like a door he had welded shut suddenly cracked. Rion bowed nervously. "Sir, I'm here to apply for the junior design position." Ares didn't answer at first, because the moment he looked into Rion's eyes, eyes full of quiet fear yet stubborn courage, he remembered a version of himself he had locked away long ago. Lonely, terrified, unwanted. Ares exhaled slowly. "Follow me," he said, voice low, controlled. Rion hurried behind him, his steps soft, almost apologetic. Inside the conference room, Ares watched the boy fidget with his pen. He was clearly overwhelmed, yet trying so hard to hold himself together. "Are you always this nervous?" Ares asked. Rion flinched. "Sorry, sir. I just really need this job." Ares leaned back, eyes narrowing. People usually came to him for money, power, opportunities, never with such sincere desperation. "Why this job?" Ares asked quietly. Rion hesitated. Then, like a dam breaking, "I have nowhere else to go." Ares froze. The honesty, the helplessness, the pain in those words, it echoed his own childhood so violently that he felt something inside him tighten. Rion realized he said too much and quickly lowered his head. "I'm sorry, sir. Forget I said that. I'll work hard, I promise. I don't need much, just a chance." Ares wasn't supposed to care, but he did, more than he should. He closed Rion's file. "You're hired." Rion looked up, stunned. "What? Sir, really?" Ares nodded once, sharply, like he was afraid if he softened, the boy would see through him. "Report tomorrow at 9. Don't be late."
Rion smiled for the first time, a small, shy smile, and Ares felt his heartbeat stutter in his chest. What the hell was this boy doing to him? As Rion left the room, Ares whispered under his breath, "Don't make me care." But fate had already decided.
Ryan's first day started quietly. Too quietly. Ares liked silence, order, and efficiency. But Ryan moved like someone afraid of disturbing the air itself. He walked softly. He whispered. He kept apologizing for things that weren't even his fault. And Ares noticed everything. From his office upstairs, Ares watched Ryan through the glass walls. The boy sat at his tiny workstation, studying his tasks with furrowed brows, chewing his lip anxiously. He looked fragile, breakable. And for reasons Ares couldn't explain, he hated seeing Ryan look scared. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed across the floor, a dropped file. It wasn't even Ryan's fault, but he flinched like someone had struck him. Ares stood up before even realizing he was moving. He walked downstairs, his steps sharp and controlled. Ryan was frozen, his breathing quick, hands shaking, a small panic attack rising in his chest. "Ryan?" Ares said softly. Ryan jolted. "I'm fine, sir. Sorry, I didn't mean to." "Stop apologizing," Ares said, voice calm but firm. Ryan pressed a hand to his chest, trying to steady himself. The sound, it reminded me of something." Ares didn't ask. He didn't need to. He recognized trauma when he saw it. He stepped closer, close enough that Ryan could feel his presence, but not trapped. "Sit," Ares said. Ryan obeyed. Ares grabbed a glass of water and handed it to him. Their fingers brushed, light, accidental, and both of them froze. A soft shock ran through Ryan's hand. His eyes lifted, wide, almost glowing. Ares felt it too, a spark, warm, dangerous. He pulled his hand back a little too quickly. "Drink," he muttered. Ryan took a small sip, breaths slowly calming. Ares watched him, watched every tiny tremble fade. He didn't speak. He didn't know how to comfort people with words, so he stayed, quietly, beside him. When Ryan finally whispered, "Thank you, sir," Ares felt the crack appear, small but undeniable, in the walls he had spent years building. He turned away, covering the softness in his eyes. "Get back to work when you're ready." Then, softer, so soft Ryan almost didn't hear it. "You're doing fine." Ryan's chest warmed. Ares didn't look back, but he felt the boy's gaze following him. And for the first time in years, he didn't mind being seen.
Ryan tried his best. He double-checked every file, remeasured every design, rewrote every report twice just to make sure it was perfect. But perfection takes time, and time ran out fast. By 10:45 p.m., almost everyone had gone home. Only 2 lights remained on in the massive glass building. Ryan's weak desk lamp and Ares' office upstairs, cold, bright, unblinking. Ryan rubbed his tired eyes. He still had one last layout to finish. "If I don't complete this, Ares will think I'm useless," he whispered to himself. His stomach twisted at the thought. He had disappointed too many people in his life. He couldn't afford to disappoint this man, not him. Footsteps echoed on the empty floor. Slow, steady, powerful. Ryan's heart stopped. Ares. He looked up and froze as Ares approached him, coat still on, tie loosened, hair slightly messy from working too long. "Why are you still here?" Ares asked, voice low but sharp. I'm finishing the last draft, sir." "It's past 10.
Aries said, checking his watch. "You should have gone home hours ago." Ryan lowered his eyes. "I don't want to make mistakes." Aries' jaw tightened, not in anger, but in something like frustration mixed with concern. "Aries," said Ryan, "working yourself sick won't make you better." Ryan blinked. No one had ever said something like that to him. "I just want to prove I'm worth the chance you gave me," Ryan whispered. Aries exhaled slowly, deeply. He leaned down, placing one hand on the desk. Too close, too dangerous, their faces inches apart. "You don't need to bleed to prove your worth," Aries said, voice barely above a murmur. "You already earned your place here." Ryan's breath hitched. Aries straightened and looked at the messy papers scattered everywhere. "Come," he said. Ryan blinked. "Where?" Aries walked toward the elevator. "You haven't eaten. I know a place that's still open." Ryan gasped softly. "Are we going together?" Aries didn't look back. "If you want." Ryan stood frozen for a moment, a shy smile forming, heart racing, limbs trembling. Then he hurried after him. Inside the elevator, they stood close, too close. Ryan could feel Aries' warmth, his cologne, his steady breathing. Aries could feel Ryan's nervousness, the tiny tremors in his hands, the quick heartbeat. Neither spoke, but something unspoken filled the air between them. Something new, something dangerous, something that was no longer just boss and employee. When the elevator doors opened, Aries finally said, "Let's eat." Ryan nodded, cheeks pink. And as they walked into the night, Aries realized this delicate boy was slipping slowly, quietly into his guarded heart.
The little restaurant Aries chose wasn't fancy. Not a billionaire's place, not somewhere he took clients or partners. It was quiet, warm, soft lights, wooden tables, the smell of fresh broth floating in the air. A place that felt safe. Ryan looked around, surprised. "This is nice," he whispered. Aries removed his coat and sat across from him. "I come here when I need silence." Ryan smiled shyly. "Silence is comforting." Aries raised an eyebrow. "Most people find it uncomfortable." Ryan shook his head. "I lived in a noisy world for too long. Silence feels like breathing." Aries didn't say anything, but that sentence hit him harder than it should have. When the food arrived, hot soup, soft dumplings, Ryan stared at it like it was a miracle. "You like it?" Aries asked. Ryan nodded quickly. "It feels like home, even though I never really had one." Aries felt a sharp tug in his chest. They ate quietly for a while, until Aries noticed Ryan blowing on each dumpling before eating it, like a careful child. "You're slow," Aries teased, softly, uncharacteristically. Ryan looked embarrassed. "I burn my tongue a lot." Aries chuckled under his breath. Ryan blinked in shock. He had never seen Aries smile like that. Warm, real, almost gentle. Ryan's heart fluttered. Then something unexpected happened. A tiny piece of vegetable stuck on Ryan's lip. Ryan didn't notice, but Aries did. Aries leaned forward without thinking, reached out, and gently wiped it away with his thumb. Ryan froze. Aries froze. Their eyes locked. A spark, a rush of heat, a silent question in the air. Ryan's breath trembled. "Sir." Aries slowly pulled his hand back. He looked away, clearing his throat. "Eat. Before I do something stupid." Ryan lowered his head, cheeks burning, heart racing too fast. The rest of the dinner passed quietly, but everything felt different now. Charged, warm, dangerous. When they stepped outside, a cold wind blew across the street. Ryan shivered. Without hesitation, almost instinctively, Aries placed his coat over Ryan's shoulders. Ryan looked up, wide-eyed. "Sir, you'll get cold." "I'm fine."
Ryan touched the coat gently, like it was something precious. Aries watched him silently, the city lights reflecting in his dark eyes. "Thank you," Ryan whispered. Aries didn't reply. Because inside, one truth scared him more than any rival, any enemy, any trauma. He wanted to protect this boy. More than he should, more than he was allowed to. And that meant only one thing. His heart was already losing the battle.
By the time Aries and Ryan finished dinner, the sky had turned heavy, clouds rolling in like a warning. They stepped out of the warm restaurant into the cool night air. Ryan pulled the coat tighter around himself. Aries watched him from the side, quiet, unreadable, but aware of every small thing the boy did. A faint rumble echoed in the distance. "It might rain," Aries said. Ryan nodded. "I don't mind rain." Aries glanced at him. "You don't?" Ryan smiled softly. "It hides people's tears." Aries' chest tightened. Before he could respond, a cold drop fell on Ryan's cheek, then another. Then the sky opened. Rain poured down in sheets. Aries grabbed Ryan's wrist immediately. "Come on!" They ran through the empty street, Ryan laughing breathlessly, Aries trying not to stare at the way the boy's hair clung to his forehead. Ryan slipped slightly. Aries caught him by the waist. Just for a moment, just a second too long. Ryan's hands clutched Aries' shirt, trembling from shock and cold. Aries looked down at him, water falling down both their faces, breaths mixing, bodies too close. "You okay?" Aries asked, voice low, rough. "Yes, thank you." Aries realized he was still holding him. He let go quickly, clearing his throat. They reached Aries' car, soaked. Ryan hesitated before getting in. "I'm dripping water everywhere. Your seat." "Get in, Ryan." The softness in Aries' tone left no room for argument. Inside the car, Ryan shivered lightly. Aries noticed instantly. Without a word, he switched on the heater and took a towel from the back seat. He handed it to Ryan. Ryan blinked. "You keep a towel in your car?" Aries looked ahead. "For emergencies." Ryan smiled weakly. "I guess I'm today's emergency." Aries turned to him, their faces only inches apart. "No," he said quietly. "You are not." Ryan's breath hitched. Aries reached out, not touching him, just hovering close. For a moment, Ryan felt warmth that wasn't from the heater, a strange safety, a silent promise. Aries took a slow breath, forcing himself to pull his hand back. "I'll drop you home," Aries said. Ryan nodded, wiping his hair gently. As Aries drove through the rain-lit streets, Ryan watched him quietly, the focused eyes, the tense jaw, the hand on the steering wheel firm and steady. He felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Safe. And Aries, without looking at him, felt something he wasn't ready to accept. Attached. Dangerously attached. When they reached Ryan's small apartment building, Ryan paused before getting out. "Sir, tonight was the first time I didn't feel alone." Aries' hand tightened on the wheel. He didn't speak. He couldn't, because if he opened his mouth, he might admit the truth. He didn't want Ryan to feel alone ever again. Ryan stepped out, gave a small shy wave, and ran inside. Aries watched him until he disappeared. Only then did he whisper to the empty car, "What are you doing to me?" Ryan didn't sleep much that night. The rain outside became a storm, and storms had always been his enemy. Every thunderclap felt like a memory. Every flash of lightning felt like the past returning. By 3:12 a.m., Ryan sat curled on his bed, knees to his chest, hands gripping the blanket, breathing shallow. "No, not again. Please," he whispered to no one. A nightmare clung to him, half dream, half memory, shouting, breaking glass, heavy footsteps, fear. His phone buzzed. Ryan flinched. When he looked at the screen, his breath caught. "Eris. Are you home? Did you dry your hair? You didn't catch a cold, did you?"
Rian's chest softened. He typed slowly. "I'm okay, sir. Thank you for everything tonight." Eris replied instantly. "Good. Sleep." Rian hugged his knees tighter. He wanted to sleep. He wanted peace, but his body refused. After a long hesitation, he typed again. "Sir, can I ask something?" Eris. "Yes." Rian. "Do you ever get nightmares?" There was a long pause. Rian almost regretted asking, thinking he had overstepped. Then Eris replied, "Every night." Rian's eyes widened. He didn't expect honesty. He didn't expect vulnerability. Rian typed, "How do you make them stop?" Eris, "You don't. You learn to breathe through them." Rian swallowed hard. "It's hard." Eris, "I know." Another flash of lightning lit up Rian's room. He covered his ears, shaking. His phone buzzed again. Rian. He wiped his tears and replied, "Yes, sir?" Eris, "Open your door. I'm outside." Rian's heart stopped. He scrambled out of bed, ran to the door, and pulled it open. Eris stood there in the dim hallway, coat still damp from the rain, hair messy, eyes intense and searching. "Sir, you came?" Rian whispered. Eris stepped inside without a word. Rian's apartment was tiny, one bed, one table, a flickering kitchen light. Eris looked massive inside the small space. He sat on the edge of the bed, lowering his voice. "You should have told me you were afraid." Rian hesitated. "I didn't want to bother you." Eris looked at him, really looked at him, and something in his eyes softened painfully. "You could never bother me," he said. Rian's chest tightened. Another thunder roared. Rian flinched and instinctively moved closer, not touching, but close enough that Eris could feel the tremble in his body. Eris exhaled slowly. He lifted a hand, hesitating, then gently touched Rian's shoulder. "Sit," Eris said. Rian sat beside him on the bed, knees almost touching. Eris's voice dropped to a whisper. "Breathe with me." He placed his hand lightly on Rian's back, warm, steady, safe. Rian's breathing slowly synced with Eris's. Inhale, exhale. Thunder cracked again. Rian buried his face in his hands. Without thinking, Eris pulled him closer. Just a slight pull, just enough for Rian to lean against his shoulder. Rian froze. Eris didn't move, didn't push, didn't speak. He simply stayed, and that was enough to stop the trembling. After a few minutes, Rian whispered into Eris's shoulder, "Thank you for coming." Eris closed his eyes. "You don't have to face storms alone anymore." Rian lifted his head slightly, looking up at him, their faces only inches apart, breaths mixing, warm, close, too close. Rian's eyes flicked to Eris's lips. Eris swallowed. He almost leaned in, but then he stood abruptly. "I should go," he said, voice rough. Rian blinked, confused. Okay?" Eris walked to the door, paused, and said without turning, "If it gets bad again, call me." Rian nodded. Eris stepped out into the hallway, the storm still raging behind him. As the door closed, both of them felt the same ache. Something between them was growing, something dangerous, something both of them were trying to resist, and both of them were losing. The next morning, Aries walked into the office earlier than usual. He told himself it was because of a meeting. He told himself it was because of deadlines. But the truth was simple. He wanted to see Rian. He wanted to make sure the boy had slept, had eaten, had stopped trembling. But when Aries reached the design floor, his entire body went still. Rian wasn't alone. A junior designer, Liam, was leaning over Rian's desk, too close, too friendly, smiling that annoying, flirtatious smile. Rian laughed softly at something Liam said, a gentle, shy laugh Aries had never heard before. A cold feeling stabbed through Aries' chest. He didn't like it. He didn't understand it, but he felt it. Ares walked toward them, his steps sharp, controlled, louder than necessary. Rion immediately straightened. Sir? Good morning. Liam turned with a grin. Morning, Mr. Ares. I was just helping Rion with his... Ares cut him off with a cold, icy stare. I didn't ask. Liam blinked, awkwardly stepping back. Rion looked confused, concerned. Ares ignored Liam completely and focused on Rion. You're late, Ares said. Rion panicked. I came at 9, sir. I didn't see you. Rion blinked again. I went upstairs to submit the inventory forms. Ares realized he had no reason to be irritated, but the emotion was already burning through him. Jealousy, unwanted, unwelcome, unfamiliar. Ares turned to Liam, voice colder than the marble floors. He doesn't need your help. He works under me. Liam blinked, startled. I was just showing him the software shortcut. Your work is pending, Ares said. Do it. Liam walked away quickly. Rion watched Liam leave, then looked up at Ares with big, confused eyes. Sir, did I do something wrong? Ares felt something twist in his chest. No, he said quietly. You didn't. Rion exhaled in relief, but Ares still looked unsettled. Then why do you look angry? Rion asked softly. Ares turned away. I'm not. Rion tilted his head. You are. Ares froze. No one talked to him like that. No one understood his emotions so easily. No one noticed the cracks behind his walls, except Rion. Rion stepped closer, voice gentle. If it's something I did, tell me. I'll fix it. Ares turned, eyes locking with Rion's, and for a moment, just a moment, the truth almost slipped out. I don't like seeing anyone else close to you. I don't want anyone else touching you. I don't want anyone else making you smile like that. But instead, Ares said sharply, just don't rely on others too much. Rion frowned softly. But Liam was just being kind. Ares hated the way that sentence made him feel. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. You don't know people. Kindness is rarely free. Rion looked up at him, eyes soft, trusting, unaware of the fire he was stirring inside Ares. But your kindness felt free last night. Ares' breath stilled. Heat crackled in the air between them. Ares clenched his fists, trying to keep himself from reaching out. Rion, he said, low, dangerous. You don't understand what you're saying. Rion swallowed, cheeks faintly pink. I know you came for me. I know you stayed because you cared. Ares stared at him, heart pounding, mind losing control, walls crumbling. He stepped even closer, voice barely a whisper. I told you, don't make me care. Rion's breath trembled. But you already do. Ares looked away suddenly, the truth too close, too raw. Get back to work, he said, hoarse. Rion nodded gently, but as Ares walked away, he felt it. Jealousy, heat, fear, and something else he didn't want to name. Possession. He wasn't ready for it. He wasn't prepared to feel this deeply. But Rion, little by little, was becoming his weakness.
The rest of the day, Ares avoided Rion. Not because he wanted to, because he didn't trust himself. Every time he caught even a glimpse of Rion, his gentle smile, his soft voice, the way he tucked his hair behind his ear when he was nervous, Ares felt that strange pull again, that dangerous, magnetic pull. So he stayed in his office, door closed, lights dim, pretending he was busy. But at 6:42 p.m., a soft knock echoed through his door. Sir, can I come in? Ares froze. Rion. He cleared his throat. Yes. Rion stepped inside,
holding a small first aid box. "I noticed," he said quietly. "Your hand, it's hurt." Ares frowned. "My hand?" Rion nodded and pointed. "You scraped it when you caught me yesterday, in the rain." Ares looked down. A small cut. He hadn't noticed at all. Rion walked closer, too close, and opened the box. "I'll clean it for you." Ares tensed. "That's not necessary." Rion shook his head. "It is." He gently took Ares' hand, small fingers wrapping around his larger ones, warm, careful, trembling just slightly. Ares stopped breathing. Rion dabbed the cut with antiseptic, blowing softly so it wouldn't sting. Ares' jaw clenched. He could face board meetings, rival companies, hostile takeovers, but he couldn't handle this. The softness, the intimacy, the way Rion's eyes focused entirely on him, as if he mattered. Rion's voice was gentle. "You take care of everyone else, but not yourself." Ares' chest tightened painfully. Rion wasn't supposed to say things like that. He wasn't supposed to see through Ares so easily. When Rion looked up, their eyes met. Close, warm, too warm. Rion whispered, "Does it hurt?" Ares answered without thinking, "Only when you stop." Rion froze. Ares froze. The room suddenly felt full of heat. Rion's cheeks turned pink. "Ares, you're—" Ares pulled his hand back quickly. "I didn't mean—" He swallowed, voice rough, shaken. "Just finish it." Rion nodded silently and placed a small bandage over the cut. "There," he smiled softly. "All better." Ares stared at the bandage like it was something dangerous, like it held a truth he couldn't run from. Rion gathered his things and headed for the door. But before leaving, he turned back and said, "Sir, you don't have to push me away, not from everything." Ares felt something inside him crack again. He looked at Rion, really looked, and for a moment he didn't see an employee. He saw a boy who trusted him, needed him, looked at him like he was more than a cold billionaire with a broken past. Ares whispered, almost to himself, "That's exactly why I should." Rion's heart sank. "But I don't want distance between us." Ares shut his eyes for a moment. "Rion, I'm trying to protect you." "From what?" Rion asked softly. Ares opened his eyes, dark, conflicted, tormented. "From me." Rion stepped closer, voice trembling but brave. "I'm not afraid of you." Ares shook his head. "You should be." Rion whispered, "I'm more afraid of losing you." Ares' breath hitched, a sound he couldn't hide. For 1 second, one dangerous, heart-shaking second, Ares almost pulled Rion into his arms. Almost. But he stepped back instead. "Go home, Rion," he forced out. Rion nodded, eyes glistening with emotion, and walked out. Ares sat down heavily, pressing a hand over his eyes. He whispered into the empty room, "Why do you make it so hard to stay away?" But the truth echoed inside him. He didn't want distance. Not anymore. And that was exactly what terrified him. The next morning should have been normal. It wasn't. Rion walked into the office with a quiet smile, hair still slightly damp, eyes soft, hopeful, as if last night's painful conversation didn't break him. Ares saw him from across the hallway, through the glass walls, and something inside Ares twisted so tightly he actually had to stop walking. He had spent the entire night awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking of Rion's trembling voice. "I'm more afraid of losing you." Ares had no idea how to process those words. People didn't fear losing him. People didn't need him.
People didn't choose him, but Ryan had, and that single truth was unraveling him. Aries forced himself to walk past Ryan's desk, keeping his eyes forward, expression cold. "Good morning, sir," Ryan said softly. Aries didn't reply. He couldn't. If he opened his mouth, every emotion he'd buried would spill out. Ryan watched him leave with a tiny, hurt look. Aries felt it. Every step away felt wrong. By noon, Ryan's energy shifted. He wasn't smiling, he wasn't humming softly like he usually did, he wasn't talking to anyone. He worked quietly, too quietly, hands slightly shaking, eyes red like he barely slept. Aries noticed everything. By 3 p.m., Ryan still hadn't taken lunch. By 4 p.m., he still hadn't moved from his desk. By 5 p.m., he looked pale. Aries finally snapped. He stormed out of his office and walked straight to Ryan. "Why didn't you eat?" Aries demanded. Ryan blinked, startled. "I didn't feel hungry." "That's not an answer," Aries said, voice sharp. Ryan lowered his eyes. "I thought you wanted distance." Aries froze. Those words hit him like a punch. Ryan continued quietly. "Yesterday you said you should stay away from me, so I'm trying not to bother you." Aries felt his throat tighten painfully. Ryan wasn't being distant because he wanted to. He was being distant because he was hurt, because of Aries. Aries said slowly, voice trembling at the edges. "Ryan, I didn't mean for you to shut yourself down." Ryan looked up, eyes glossy. "Then what did you mean, sir? Tell me, please." His voice cracked. "I don't know what to do." Aries swallowed hard. He'd built empires, negotiated billion-dollar deals, survived trauma that would break most people. But he couldn't handle the sight of Ryan's eyes filling with tears. Aries stepped closer, dangerously close. "You think distance is what I want?" he whispered. Ryan nodded weakly. Aries slowly shook his head. "Distance is what I'm forcing, not what I want." Ryan's breath hitched. Then, completely unexpectedly, Ryan whispered, "Then stop forcing it." Aries' chest burned. Everything inside him collapsed. Aries grabbed Ryan's wrist gently, not rough, not possessive, just enough to anchor himself. Ryan looked at their hands, breath trembling. "Aries," he whispered, voice soft, scared, hopeful. Aries took a slow breath. "I can't stay away from you," he finally said. "I tried. I failed every time." Ryan's eyes widened, filling with emotion. Aries continued, voice low, raw. "You're in my head, every second, every hour. I think about you when I shouldn't. I worry about you when I don't need to. I care more than I'm allowed to." Ryan's lips parted. A soft, broken sound escaped him. And suddenly, Ryan stepped forward and wrapped his arms around Aries. A soft, trembling hug. Aries froze. Ryan pressed his cheek to Aries' chest, whispering, "I needed to hear that." For the first time in years, Aries' body moved without fear. His arms slowly came up and held Ryan tight against him, protective, careful, desperate. Ryan melted into the embrace. Aries whispered into Ryan's hair, "I'm not letting you break alone anymore." Ryan held him tighter. For a long, long moment, the world outside didn't exist. There was no billionaire, no employee, no walls, no fear. Just two broken hearts, finally finding each other. Ryan wakes up at dawn, wrapped in a blanket Aries must have placed over him last night. His chest feels heavy. His eyes burn. He barely slept. Aries didn't come home until late. Ryan heard the door and the silence after. The silence hurt the most.
He finally steps out of the guest room and freezes. Aries is in the living room, still in yesterday's clothes, hair messy, shirt wrinkled. He hasn't slept either. He's sitting on the couch, elbows on knees, face buried in his hands. He looks broken. Ryan's throat tightens. Slowly, he approaches. Aries? Aries doesn't look up. Ryan sits beside him. Not close, but not far. "I've never seen you like this," Ryan whispers. Aries finally lifts his head. His eyes are red, not from anger, from exhaustion, pain, fear. "Ryan," he says quietly, "I'm losing control." Ryan's heart skips. Control over what? Aries stares at the floor, jaw clenched. "Myself." A long silence settles between them. Ryan swallows, his voice trembling. "Is it because of me?" Aries snaps his eyes up, shocked. "No, never because of you." Ryan looks away. "I keep causing problems. I keep dragging you into messes. You rescued me. You gave me a place to stay, and now you're—" Aries suddenly grabs his wrist. Not hard, not possessive, just desperate. "Ryan, listen to me." Aries' voice cracks. "You're the only thing keeping me sane." Ryan's breath catches. Aries continues, softer now, the truth slipping out like a confession he's been holding back for days. "When I saw them cornering you yesterday," he swallows, jaw trembling, "I thought I'd kill them." Ryan's eyes widen. Aries never talks like this. "Aries, I'm scared of what I'll become if anyone ever hurts you again," he whispers. "Scared of what I'll do." Ryan's pulse races. For the first time, Aries looks fragile, and Ryan can't bear it. Without thinking, Ryan reaches out, touches Aries' cheek, gently, carefully. Aries closes his eyes like that touch is the only thing holding him together. Ryan whispers, "You're not alone. Not anymore." Aries opens his eyes, dark, intense, soft. "Stay today," he says quietly. "I don't want to be alone." Ryan swallows hard. "Okay." Aries shifts closer, just an inch, but that inch feels like a confession. They sit together in the quiet morning light, two broken souls leaning toward each other without realizing they're already falling.
The day moves quietly. Aries doesn't leave the apartment. Ryan doesn't either. It's not planned. It's not spoken. It just happens. They move around each other gently, like two people afraid to make the slightest wrong step. Aries cooks lunch in silence. Ryan cuts vegetables beside him. Their hands brush once. Aries freezes. Ryan pretends he didn't feel the spark, but his ears go red. Hours pass like this, soft and strange, as if the air itself is holding its breath. Evening. It rains. Soft, steady rain tapping the windows. Ryan stands near the glass, watching droplets race each other. Aries walks up behind him, slower than usual, as if he's approaching something delicate. "Ryan," Aries says quietly. Ryan turns. Aries isn't angry. He isn't cold. He's just looking at him, really looking. Ryan's chest tightens. "What happened?" Aries steps closer. "One more thing happened yesterday," he says softly. Ryan swallows. "What?" Aries' voice is barely above a whisper. "I realized how much you matter to me." Ryan's breath catches. Aries lifts his hand, slowly, giving Ryan time to pull away. He touches Ryan's jaw with the gentleness of someone afraid he'll shatter him. "Ryan," Aries whispers, "I shouldn't feel this way,
but I do. Ryan's heart is pounding so hard he can barely speak. Ryan, Aries, don't say things you don't mean. Aries leans in, just enough that Ryan feels his breath. I've never meant anything more. Ryan's eyes flutter shut. Aries cups his cheek with both hands now, thumbs brushing warm skin. He waits. He gives Ryan the chance to step back. Ryan doesn't move. He leans forward, only a little, barely a breath. Aries inhales sharply. And then, Aries kisses him. Not rough, not hungry, not desperate. A slow, trembling kiss, like something sacred, like something he has wanted for too long and has finally allowed himself to touch. Ryan melts into it, a soft sound escaping his throat. Aries pulls back just an inch, breathing unevenly. I shouldn't have, he whispers. Ryan opens his eyes, dazed. Then why did you? Aries rests his forehead against Ryan's. Because you're the only thing that feels right in my life. Ryan's hands grip his shirt. Aries, don't stop. Aries kisses him again, deeper this time, letting all the held-back emotions spill into Ryan's lips. The rain outside falls harder. Inside the apartment, two hearts fall with it.
Ariana woke to the soft hum of generators and the faint smell of antiseptic. The safe house was dim, only a single lamp glowing in the corner. Her vision slowly focused, and there he was. Damien, asleep in a chair right beside her bed, body slumped, head resting on his folded arms. His gun holster was still strapped on, his jacket half fell off his shoulder. He looked like he'd been guarding her even in his dreams. She blinked, confused. How long has he been here? A soft blanket slipped from her lap as she sat up. Her muscles ached, but her heart ached more seeing him like this. She shifted slightly, brushing her fingers gently against his cheek, just to make sure he was real, that this wasn't another fever dream. His skin was warm under her touch. Damien didn't open his eyes, didn't move. He just whispered, voice raw from exhaustion, as if the words had been waiting on his tongue for hours. I'm not letting you go. Her breath caught. The dangerous man who could walk through fire without blinking was breaking for her, staying for her, protecting her the way no one ever had. For a moment, Ariana's pulse skipped. She could have pulled her hand away. She could have pretended she didn't hear. But she didn't. Instead, her fingers lingered on his cheek, tracing the faint shadow of his stubble. And something inside her, something she'd buried for years, slowly, quietly, surrendered. For the first time, Ariana didn't want to run, didn't want to hide, didn't want to leave him. She leaned her forehead gently against his and whispered back, so soft it barely existed. Then don't. His eyes finally opened, slow, dark, burning with something she had no defenses against. Not anymore. Because the truth she'd been avoiding, denying, fighting, was now undeniable. She didn't want to escape Damien. She wanted him. The days that followed blurred into something neither of them had planned for. Something real, raw, and impossible to take back. Ariana and Damien stopped pretending. The stolen glances turned into touches. The touches turned into kisses. And the kisses turned into nights that burned too hot to forget. Their relationship wasn't neat or gentle. It was fire meeting gasoline, violent, consuming, undeniable. Damien was possessive in a way that terrified everyone except her. His hand always found her waist. His eyes followed anyone who stepped too close, anyone who stared too long. Ariana met that intensity with her own flicker of loyalty, not loud, not dramatic, but unshakable.
She defended him in boardrooms, stood by him in arguments, told him again and again without words, "You're not alone anymore." But outside their bubble, the world sharpened its knives. Rumors spread in marble hallways and private lounges. Investors whispered about the young wife ruining Damien's focus. They claimed she was a distraction, a vulnerability, a crack in the armor of the man they feared. One evening, Damien walked into a meeting and heard it himself. "He's soft now. She's a weakness, a liability." Silence fell when he entered, sharp, electric, dangerous. Damien slowly set his watch on the table, sleeves rolled up, jaw tight. His voice was calm, too calm. "If loving her is a weakness," he said, eyes cutting through every man in the room, "then I'll build a new empire." No one breathed. No one dared. Because the way he said her, as if Ariana was a crown he chose to wear proudly, told everyone the truth. Damien wasn't getting weaker. He was getting unstoppable, unpredictable, more dangerous than ever, because now he had something worth burning the world for.